we're pretty busy here at the minute. We've 18 yearlings in for prep, so kept going. Day kind of consists of coming in, feeding, getting the first lot on the walker, in between walker, lunging, back on the walker, off. It's kind of a bit of a conveyor belt process to a point. And then after that, the afternoons are spent grooming, rugging up, feeding. So it's kind of has to run like clockwork to get everything out and done. But in saying that, it's a conveyor belt in the sense of keeping everything going. But every horse is very different, and the feed and the exercise are adjusted accordingly to each horse. Last year we started off with the breeding season, and I foaled 9 mares, and then it kind of got a bit quiet for June, July. Didn't have a whole lot going on, which was nice. We had 8 yearlings in for prep then last year, and then we only had a handful of foals, and that was kind of last year. It was a nice start, and then this year we had 8 mares foaling, but I also had another 12 barren mares on top of that, so we had a nice flow of mares through the place. And then we had a few breakers in on top of that as well, and horses for pre-training, so they kind of only left, some of those only left just before the yearlings came in. And then with the yearlings in, and we've a nice bunch of foals now to come in as well, so kind of the numbers are rising, but it's been good, definitely can't complain. I think a lot of it just has to do with being consistent with them. The horses are very routine animals, so giving them a routine to stick by and kind of taking your time with them. Don't rush them. I give everything an 8-week prep, whereas really it probably only needs 6. But if you give 8 weeks, well then if there's a setback, if something gets a bump or a bang, or if a horse isn't taken to something quite as well, you have a few days to play with to settle them and relax them and keep them in a good state of mind, really. Yeah, of course you want them to peak at the right time, so if something comes in and it's a bit heavy, you want it to lose weight gradually, not to go to what you want it to look like at the sales overnight. It's hard to maintain it, and you get to a point maybe 2 weeks out, 3 weeks out from a sale where you're pretty much there, and a lot of it is just maintaining it and keeping that weight on. And then you've other horses and you'll be working up to the last minute to get that extra bit of top line muscle, extra weight on them. And that's where the thing of being individual with each horse really comes into it, and that's down to, like I said, the feed and the exercise. So when they're foaled or pin hooked, they're here all year round. So foaling whenever, early in the year, or from pin hooking, November, December time, they go out to the field, they're fed. Obviously if they're newborns, they're going to come in at night. Once the weather heats up in kind of May, June time, they're out overnight. The ones we pin hook, they come home, they stay in for a couple of days to make sure everything's all right, and then they go out to the field. They're fed morning and evening, so they're checked twice a day. Go out, give them a rub. Kind of that's something I find that's quite helpful, is going out and petting them, kind of being around them, because they just get used to human interaction. They're out then all the time. They come in for the farrier or whatever needs be, but they pretty much live out then until July, August time when they come in for prep. By that point, most of them are well used to humans and human interaction. They come in and we start them off on the walker for a couple of days, and then they gradually build up to lunging with just a single rein. Then they get a roller, build up to bungees, and then they get a double rein. And by the, probably takes 2 weeks in total to get them from the point of when they come in to have the 2 reins on them and to be doing it properly. It's, like I said, if they're relaxed, they take to it quite quickly. I think the 2 main things we're looking at when we're lunging them like this is their strength and their balance. You want to see them strengthening up, and their balance. You can have a big rangy horse, but if they're not balanced, they won't get around, and they're definitely the 2 things I'm on the lookout for when we're lunging on a daily basis. We're not too bad in the sense that it's a small farm and we've small numbers of staff, so it's not like we're trying to distance. Obviously we implement social distancing and all that, but it's not too hard when you don't have that many people coming in and out of the place. The sales are going to be tricky, but look, we have to keep horses going, have to keep the show on the road. It's brilliant that all the sales are moving to England. I know it's not going to suit everybody in the sense that the costs are going to be higher to travel horses and expenses and everything, but I think it had to be done bottom line this year, so we're just going to have to take it and see what happens. It's no different than when the recession was here. Yeah, he's supposed to be going to the Tattersalls Ferry House sale, which is now being relocated to Newmarket. He's a really nice colt by Teofilo out of a mare called Granny. He's a full brother to Group 3 winner Guaranteed, and his other full brother made 52,000 last year at the Orby, and Mark Johnson bought him. He's now unbeaten 2 from 2. He won his maiden first time out and won the Acomb the other day, which is the Group 3 in England. So he's a really nice horse. He's very athletic, a nice mover, so I'll be hoping he sells well. We've a really nice vocalised colt out of a mare called Holla Nasera. She's actually by Teofilo, and he is a half brother to recent Group 2 Futurity winner Max Sweeney. He's a fine big horse, so he is. He's plenty of size and scope to him, but he's actually quite light on his feet. So he'd be my pick for the Goffs Orby sale. Yeah, so obviously I'm very lucky to be basically bred into it. Granda trains and breeds and Dad's a jockey, so I kind of grew up not knowing any different, and I've always been lucky enough to have ponies and did quite a lot of show jumping and showing when I was younger. And then I went to college and that just was not for me, so I decided to go and just work, and I spent time in Kildare Stud and in Granda Stud in Redmondstown. And they were kind of the two farms that I spent the first kind of breeding seasons in, and I really just got bitten by it then. I'd done a bit of work in Goffs bid spotting and that as well. And from there I went to Windstar in America for a year, and I came back and I did the National Stoke course, and I've kind of done the sales all around the world for different people, and I spent some time in Australia and in Japan as well. So between one thing and another, kind of just bounced around, got a feel for everywhere, and then was in Baroda for a few years and kind of just decided I wanted something different and ended up here.